Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Thank you for being here this Monday morning, this rainy Monday morning. How are you guys doing? Did everyone have a good weekend? I hope you all had a great weekend. Um, Thank you all for being here and showing up on these videos. Thank you all for subscribing to the channel. I noticed there are new subscribers. I'm thanking everyone for subscribing. I really appreciate that. That means that some, if not all, of these videos are resonating with you. And in a video, I want you guys to keep in mind that I'm not a social worker or a therapist of any sort. I use my own personal experiences of what I've gone through so far on this healing journey, on this journey to heal the pain, the grief, etc. And I talk about why I got on this journey and why it was necessary and what happened to me. And in different videos, I talk about different, I tell different situations that happened to me along the way that forced me to get on this healing journey. And I'm glad that I did. There's been obstacles, challenges, but I'm glad I did because even though I talk about the toxicity, the pain, grief, etc. There are some good things that's happened as well. So, guys, continue to show up here, subscribe to the channel, invite others, your friends, family, and whoever else you think needs to hear these videos so that they can be uplifted. We're not here to tear anybody down or judge them. We're here to uplift, and that's the point here. So before I get into the topic of discussion, um, God has really been good to me as I stayed true to this journey, because I've had a lot of obstacles and a lot of challenges to the point where I could say, you know what, the hell with this. But I would not do that. And one of the reasons why, guys, is because the more, we'll get into that. I'm going to talk about that because God has been really good to me as I stayed on this journey. So over the weekend, right, I had a crazy week last week, not in a bad way, but just busy. And then my schedule at work got changed. And I was at the gym when I got a call to do something different that was later hours than what I would normally do. And at first I said no. And then I thought about it because I was at the gym. And then after I got off the machine I was working on, I said, why am I saying no? Because, like I talk a lot about my downtime is my time, but this was something that I needed to do. So I thought about it. I sat down for a minute and I said, why did I say no? So I made a call back and said, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that shift. And, and I worked till about 8 o'clock or so. And I'm glad I did because it was easier than what I thought it would be. And, it was fun actually. And I'm glad I actually said, oh, sign me up for the next time, you know. And I'm glad I did that. One of the things about the old version of myself is that I was afraid to take chances with things that were out of my comfort zone. That's the way I'm going to say that. I was, leery or hesitant, I'll use that word, to take a chance with things that put me out of my comfort zone or made me feel out of my comfort zone. So I took that chance and did it, and it worked out fine. I'm glad I did do it. So, and then I got home a little late, and so I think I did the video because that was on a Thursday. Yeah, Friday I did a video. I didn't do one Thursday because I got home so late. But I was glad I did that. And so I'm taking these little steps to put my foot in the water, even though it may feel a little bit uncomfortable. But, I'm seeing some good things from it. And over the weekend, on the weekend, I like to rest and, you know, um, do my little things that I like to do and then just rest up. So I wanted to watch a movie because something I wanted to see on prime time. And So I had planned to spend the day in Saturday because I'm always jumping, hopping, and skipping, right? And I'm like, no, I'm going to stay in. And as soon as I sat down, I was on the computer for a minute, and then boom, I'm not lying, guys. The picture screen on my television set just poof, and it's like, no, this can't be happening. So I still heard a sound of whatever was on at the time on the channel. And I kept going back and forth trying to unplug, reboot, whatever. And it was the picture tube. So I ended up calling the cable company and blah, blah. We went through all the steps and I was getting irritated because time was going by, the longer I stayed on. But it was the picture tube. So then I got mad. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So what I did is took the TV off, put it away, and then I went and drove to a town I used to live in, and which is like a little ways from here, but I didn't care at that point because, certain things I like to do on the weekend, and you know, so I drove and I got a bargain on a TV, and I'm like, so when I notice, what I'm trying to say is, I notice when I take these steps, even though these little things that happen are irritating, go ahead, take a step. Because usually I would pay a lot for a flat screen TV. What, this is a 40 inch, I think. I only paid $40 for this TV because they were having a sale on it. $40. And I was like, oh my goodness, yeah, I'll take it. And it works. And then I had to call the cable company back so they can go through the steps to hook it up with the remote and all that. And I'm noticing, guys, as these things that irritate me, these things that happen, and then I take a step right away to do something about it, God does the rest. I'm telling you. And it's just been amazing. And let's get into this topic of discussion and I'll tell you the rest of it. The topic of discussion today, I have a few notes here. Stand your ground against toxicity and keep healing your pain. Stand your ground against toxicity and keep healing your pain. And one of the things when I think of toxicity, I think about the challenges I went through and when I made a decision to do this. And I made the decision because I'm from New York. I've been here in Massachusetts, I think since 2017, something like that. And I actually came down here because, guys, I told you I was dating someone for 2 years and was engaged, etc., so forth. I mean, what was done to me because I didn't know anyone here. And, back the old version of myself trusted this person because it had been 2 years or whatever. And then I found out that I was being cheated on. I don't look through people's phone, but my intuition was going off like a red flag. And then before the phone can close up because there was a password on it, I looked through and I saw stuff that blew my mind. And I mean, I can't tell you how low to the ground I felt, but God, I'm glad I didn't marry this person because everything I saw in that phone told me everything. But the old version of myself back then, guys, I even still wanted to do therapy. Maybe, I can get through this. Maybe we can somehow fix this. Let's do therapy. And when I got a yes, it was like, okay, we're going to do therapy. Let's see what happens here. I made the appointment and everything, for couples therapy and see if we can fix this, get through it, whatever, because I didn't want to give up on it. And I had an appointment, I think it was for a week or two um, after I made the call, right? And then a day or two went by and I get a call, not a call. No, this was a message through Facebook, Facebook message saying that I think I need to be single right now. I don't need to be in a relationship. Not a phone call, not an in person meeting, but a Facebook message about that. And at that point, I said everything that I was feeling, with a lot of profanity. I'm not perfect, but that's what I was feeling. I was so, so enraged. And then I brought to this ex attention that I knew about the cheating and what about the phone and what I saw. And instead of showing remorse or saying anything, you know, what was said is, what did you see on the phone? And I'm like, what? You have no remorse and all. And it took everything for me to get through that because I really did love this this person. And it took everything for me to get through it. I spent a lot of time with my dog. He was alive at that time. I spent a whole lot of time at the gym on a machine, music. This is why I talk to you guys a lot about music because I spent a lot of time listening to music, different songs. One of the songs that I listen to a lot, don't laugh at me, guys, is if you know the song, but that's how I was feeling back then. I must have listened to the song for about a year by music called Half Crazy. I don't know if you guys know it, but tell me if you do in the comment section. And I listened to that song because I could see his pain and he was sitting on the floor crying because he had lost his girl and whatever. And that's how I felt. And I can't even, tell you how bad it was and how bad I felt, and I just had to keep myself busy. And then, you know, um, after still feeling that pain and stuff, and then we started to go into the shutdown shortly thereafter, having some issues with my son, didn't feel good either. And it was back to back stuff. Then my mom was sick, doctors calling saying she's about to leave here. And then other people I knew dying. It was just a mess, guys. And I have found a place to live because I was temporarily living at this ex house and did that. And it was a lot of changes and challenges, you know. But what doesn't take you out of here or destroy you will make you stronger, you know. And I look back at those things and I see them as lessons, you know. But I had to learn, and I had to. What the lesson was for me is to put me first, to value myself. I was important. I was given everything to this relationship, all of my everything within me to a relationship, and leaving myself on zero. And that was one of the huge lessons that I learned, and this person wasn't given an equal give and take. And so that's when, and I'm talking about it because that's when I got on this healing journey slowly. And it took a long time. Like we're in 2024 right now. It took a long time for me to get from where I was back then until where I am right now, at inner peace and healing. Excuse me, guys. Allergies starting up again today. But anyway, it took a lot for me to get through it. It was hard. It was difficult, and a lot of pain. And so, what I started doing is praying and asking God to help me, and just spending a lot of time in prayer because we were shut down. We couldn't go any place except for to the supermarket and back. Praying to God, asking Him to help me to get through this. And the more I prayed, it felt like the more challenges was coming, the more stuff. It's like those movies you see where somebody's in a room and the walls are closing in slowly and it gets like like about right here. That's how it felt. And so I, I was doing therapy. If I didn't mention that before, I was doing therapy, started that again. And then making a list, the pros and cons list. As I started to do that, and I started to think about my prayers with God, I started to get creative with it. And the way I did that is I started to make vows, VOWS, vows to God. Um, and things that I could handle, of course, vows that I knew I could keep. And I started with one and and then I started to see the difference in my life as I did that. And then I made another vow, and I started to see as I take those steps, God was taking steps right there behind me, and things started to slowly turn around for the better. One of the vows I will share with you guys that I made is that God, if you help me and bring me out of this misery and pain and anguish, that I will remove toxic individuals and toxicity from my life. I don't want it anymore. I can't deal with it, you know, and I will cut off, block, and delete. And that's why I talk about that a lot: cut off, block, and delete, because I don't play with God. I don't play with the vows I make. And I made a vow to do that. And as I start to do that, people were still trying to come back in my energy, in my space, circle, whatever, you know. And then eventually this ex started trying to call me, after getting married, of course, and think that I didn't know about it. And, why are you contacting me? The old version of myself would have responded and said, why are you contacting me? And blah, blah, blah. You got married. But I had healed that pain by the time that this ex had contacted me. So I read the message, looked at it, I smiled, and I cut off, block, and deleted it because there's no words. What is there to say? Once you heal something, you don't go back to it. It's like a dog vomiting and then turn it around to go back and lick up the vomit. I don't do that. Once you heal something, then the lesson is learned and then you move on. And so I read it and I said, this is ridiculous, because this person's not even, doesn't even vow the marriage vow that they make, because why are you contacting me? We don't have anything together, so I just read it and then deleted it. And, then I was being followed. The ex, one day I was going to church on a Sunday and I saw the ex in a car with whoever they were dating at that time, following me on the highway as I was going to church. And as I got over, I think I pulled over or something, I don't know, because I don't want to be bothered with that. It's like they needed to have my attention again. And I had healed. I was back then still healing from it, but I knew I didn't want any contact anymore after what happened, because I didn't deserve what happened, because I never did anything to deserve that. But I'm sharing this story because that's how I got on this healing journey. And after dealing with that, I just said, as I healed it, I don't want anything toxic anymore. God, take it away from me. Anything toxic in my life. And so when I did a pro and con list and look, and then I start to make mental notes of what happened to me, why it happened, etc., as my therapist suggested, I realized that I was giving too damn much to these folks and not getting anything in return. I wasn't ever getting an equal give or take. I was just being taken advantage of all across the board. And so-called friends, even family members, hit me up when they have a problem. I get up early, go to work, listening to their problems late at night and stuff, getting up half groggy for work, trying to, I was doing too much for these folks and yet neglecting myself. And that wasn't okay. And so as I started to see that, I started to make the change, keep my vows, cut off, block, and delete. And as I start to do that, people were not used to that because I was so subservient for so long that they felt like it was going to keep going. And as I start to heal, I knew I didn't want that in my life anymore. But as I start to do this, some of these folks, would, I don't know, they would just keep trying and trying and trying, to get my attention. And then when I wouldn't, my medicine for that is silence. I'll read what people send or whatever. I don't answer the phone when I see calls, and when I know it's from the past, I'll let them leave a message. Most of the time they don't. And then I block the number out. I don't want anything to do with the past of individuals who brought toxicity and hell to my life. And I keep that vow. And when that wasn't working, they started to tell lies, vicious lies, excuse me, malicious lies. It's stuff that I would never do and stuff I've never done. And I just started making these vows, talking to God. And you know how you get angry when you hear this kind of stuff and you will never do it? And I said to myself, Lisa, think, these folks want you to act out of character so that you can strike. and do something. And all your hard work and what you build up from the ground up goes, gets destroyed. And so what I did is started praying, sitting in prayer with God. And then I learned how to transmute that toxicity and negativity and give it to God. Like I told you guys, I use a metaphor in a few prior videos about this. It's like when you have a student loan, I'll reshare. When you have a student loan, sometime throughout the life of the loan that you have, it gets sold to another lender. Let's say it belongs to, when you started off, it belongs to lender A. Then at some point it gets sold, lender A will sell it to lender B. So now when you make those payments, lender A is no longer involved because they sold it to B. So you're making payments directly to B. It's the same situation when people are coming at you with all this toxicity and negativity and drama and trying to draw you in. When you transmute all of that evil and toxicity and negativity and give that to God, especially after you make vows and you're keeping those vows to God and He's honoring those vows, now that toxicity and negativity and whatever else it is sits with Him. What do you think is going to happen? God is going to return it to them because it belongs to them. It doesn't belong with me, it doesn't belong to Him. And He's going to return it. And at some point, they're going to feel what they wanted me to feel, because there's no justification in that. I have a right to move on and not be abused and not be taken advantage of and not receive toxicity. And the same with you guys. You have a right to make decisions in your life that is for your highest good. You have a right not to deal with toxicity. You have a right to embrace new beginnings, to live the life that you want, you know, without anyone trying to force you to deal with their insecurities and toxicity. What I noticed that what I needed to do is stay focused on my healing path. And also, I made a vow to help other people with what I've learned. Because there are a lot of people who are going through a lot of pain and grief and suffering. And some people are even questioning if there is a God, because their pain and suffering may be great and intense and they don't know where to turn. And when you start to put yourself first, make yourself an investment instead of investing in people, you will experience trials and tribulations and challenges as you decide to put yourself first and heal pain and start to do the work with therapy. you know Sometimes it might be necessary. I'm just going to use myself in this example. In my case, it was necessary to cut off, block, and delete. It didn't matter if it was family members. It didn't matter if it was so-called friends, exes, business situations, etc. It didn't matter. I mattered, and I had to put me first for the first time in my life instead of what everybody else have going on, trying to build them up. How can I build somebody else up when I can't build my own self up? So it's important for me to build myself up and put me first, because our mental and physical health means everything, and without that we can't do anything for ourselves or anyone else. When I started here this healing journey, I was facing all types of challenges and I wasn't sure that I could do it. I didn't know where it was going to lead me, but I trust God. I told God, I'm going to trust you, but what I'm going to do is take a step forward. And to me, it was like taking a step in the dark and then feeling your way around on, touching things, and like that. But it's going to lead me somewhere. I just don't know where. I just have to keep moving forward. And that's what I did, you know. And the more I prayed to God and the more I made these vows, the more He took steps. And not only did I make vows, I kept them and I keep them to this day, and God has been showing me He's there. So I learned how to get creative and do that, because at first I was experiencing all types of things from people who I thought really cared about me. I have some notes here, guys, so I don't forget anything. And It was just they kept lying and saying things. And one of the things I want to say to you guys, if somebody ever tells you anything about anybody, make sure you research that. I remember when I was in college and my first semester, because I took a lot of literature classes and writing classes. Um, One of my literature classes, I wrote a paper, right? I think it was a 12 or 13 page paper. And I didn't cite the source at first. And thank God the professor was nice enough to give the paper back to me and tell me, where'd you get this information from? Oh, I got it from blah, 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 A, B, C, and D, and E. Well, you didn't cite where you got it from. You can never write a paper and citing these things and you don't have the sources. And so I had to go back and learn how to cite the sources. You do APA style, et cetera, so forth, MLA, but I learned how to do that and to cite the source of where I retrieved the information. That's how it is in life when somebody comes to you and tell you some messed up stuff about somebody. I mean, some really horrific, malicious stuff. And you don't really know that person. Research the information, people, before you start believing malicious lies. Because at some point, that person can get arrested, for certain things that they do. Be careful what you do to other people, especially when you are promoting lies and saying really malicious things about people. And what I would say is research before you start believing what's being told. And it doesn't matter because that person may be in a position of authority and they tell you something and you trust it. You have to see if it's the truth. I talked about in a few of my prior videos about being in a 10-year relationship with someone who had a prominent position in a church. Who sung in a choir. People thought this person was a saint, and in reality, this person was a demon monster, from hell. That's the way I categorize it. And so you can't believe everything that's being said to you. Research it. When somebody tell me something about somebody else, oh blah blah, etc., I research and see, do a background check to see if it's true. What I tell people as a joke is that if you believe anything anybody tell you, meet me at the Brooklyn Bridge because I want to sell it to you. That's the kind, don't believe everything that you're being told. Please do your research. When you take a stand against toxicity, the haters that have been around you will try harder to pull you back in. But as you start to heal these things out of your life, you no longer have a desire to be pulled back in. Because once you heal it, the door is closed. You move on to something else. The good news is that because I stayed in prayer with God and listened to my intuition and I kept moving forward, things are getting better. It's been hard. It's not easy. We're human. And, I've had people in my life that seem like forever, but these people were toxic and they were bringing, God allowed me to see it for what it was in the raw because I always think I can fix people, the old version of myself anyway. Oh, I can fix that. And, but people, you can lead a person to the water, but you can't make them drink. That individual has to have a desire to change their life for the better. And if they don't have the motivation or desire, it's not a damn thing that you can do for them, but pray for them. you know. So the best medicine that I give to toxicity from the past is my silence. If I get phone calls, I ignore them. That I don't know what the number is. If they don't leave a message, then I look at it like it's never been a phone call. And what I do get is text messages or, people using fake accounts to contact me. And I read what's being said and then I delete it and ignore it, because I don't want anything toxic back from my past. Like I said, what I do is transmute the energy, give it to God so that I can stay focused on my healing and so that I can help other people do the same. If I get mixed up in what everybody is talking about, someone's trying to get me to act out a character to get into some drama or whatever, then I can't stay on the path of healing. Then I can't be here and show up and help other people. Believe me, I'm human and I have feelings, but I know how to transmute the energy and give it to God. And as I do that, God does the rest. Who can do it better than God? So even though when something that happened, I got so upset about it, then I sat back and thought, you know what? God is going to handle this better than me. So let me give this to him. And sure enough, God will handle it. You know, it is better for me to stay on this path of healing and then to help others because people are hurting deep down in their soul and spirit. And some people are to the point where they are in despair and they need to know that they can get help, that they can get through this. It's not going to be easy, but nothing ventured is nothing gained. One day at a time, one step at a time. Never give up on yourself and your healing. Invest in you, make yourself a priority and love on yourself. And don't let anyone tell you you're not supposed to love yourself. How can you give love to anybody or anything else if you don't love you? That's impossible. You would never regret doing this. I promise you, in due time, you will see the results as you keep moving forward and you don't give up and you keep going and going and going. There'll be days where you don't feel like doing anything and you may not, but the next day, get up and get back on that horse and keep riding. Don't let anyone discourage you from taking care of yourself, because if you're not okay, then you can't take care of anything else around you. That is so important. And know that you're going to have good days and then not so good days. And when you feel so much despair, ask God to help you. Ask for divine intervention on your behalf, and God will help you. Even if you have to make a little vow, but make a vow to him that you can keep, and you will see God transform your life. It's not going to happen overnight, and I'm not going to say next week or whatever, but in due time it will happen and you will see the changes and you will be so proud of yourself that you stayed on this path and that you build yourself up, because now when these obstacles come, you can brush them away like nothing as you continue to stay focused on yourself. It is so much better to be at peace than to be broken down into pieces. So, people, that is the message today. Continue to take care of yourself, no matter who says what or why or where. Don't focus on that. Focus on you, because you are just as important as the next individual. Thank you all for being here today. This is Lisa, shedding love and light and building you up, and continue to share these videos so other people can be here and be encouraged, and they can get built up as well. Thank you guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, but subscribe to the channel and you will always get a notification as to when I'm here. Thank you again and enjoy your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now, guys.